That is definitely a few things that have passed me by that I really wish I'd picked up. But this next one, I have mixed feelings about. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about games that have passed me by. I have a very small list of games that I really regret not picking up when I had the opportunity to, and now unfortunately they're just a little bit too expensive, or my local CEX and the surrounding areas don't have them anymore. Anyway, before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, obviously please consider subscribing. But why should you subscribe? What do we do here? Well, we talk about video games, but not only do we talk about them, we collect them. Everything you see behind me, every video game, every console, the TV, everything has been acquired through a series that we call the Free Trading Game Collection Challenge. That is where I go out and I pick these things up without spending any money on them. How do we do that? Well, we go out and buy bundles and individual games and consoles and things. We flip them on to make the money back. Sometimes we make a profit. Whatever we have left over, we either put into the collection or we take into CEX mainly, and we get a voucher. We pick up the games that we actually want. I don't collect anything and everything. I have my means and my methods and the things that I actually really want, and a lot of the stuff behind me I do want, but some of the things I'm not a big fan of and I do want to get rid of. We are going to do a little bit of a trade-in purge in the next episode. But if you want to go check out any of that and how we've managed to acquire everything, I have a playlist, and I think it has about 43 videos in it. If you are not subscribed yet, like I said, please consider doing so. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers. I think we're very close to 80,000 now, which is awesome, because I was losing subscribers at one point. So the fact that we've managed to turn it around, I'm very, very grateful. In today's episode, we're going to talk about things that have just about passed me by. We're going to kick off with GameCube, and to be fair, we're not going to really veer away from GameCube. A lot of the stuff is GameCube related, and it's to do with CEX. Then there is a console bundle that I bought, owned, and then sold the whole thing because I wasn't collecting at the time. You'll have to wait till the end-ish to see that, though. It is only one image, unfortunately, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So, the Pokemon craze through lockdown was massive. Pokemon obviously has been pretty big from when it first released. I used to buy the cards as a kid. I got really lucky in some of the packs, and then eventually I sold all the collection when I was in school. Then it made a comeback, and through lockdown in particular, it was massive. So I started looking into the games, because at the time I was just sort of buying and selling to make money because YouTube ad revenue hit the floor and I was really struggling. So I was buying and selling, and I was going through all my old games and I was selling them, and some of the games were Pokemon games and they were worth a lot of money. So I went into CEX, or rather went online, and then when stores started to open again, I went in to have a little look, and they had Pokemon Colosseum on the GameCube for around £30. I didn't buy it because it didn't have the manual. Right now it's £42. Very disappointing, to be honest. I probably should have picked it up. And to be fair, if I had picked it up and I hadn't sold it on by now, I would have incorporated it into the series, because the GameCube is a console that I didn't really play an awful lot as a kid, but it's a console that I always really admired and I really wanted and just never really got around to getting. So it's definitely something that I want to do. I don't want to do like a Phoenix resale kind of thing where I go and build a GameCube collection necessarily, like a massive one of my childhood dreams, because I didn't really have one, but I would like to pick up a few games. Pokemon Colosseum definitely is one of those games. It's still £42 is still affordable, but it is to the point where it's £12 more than when I originally wanted it, and now I begrudge paying that, even though I know it's only ever going to go up. There is another version with Pokemon Box. I don't understand Pokemon Box at all. I don't know what it is, and I don't understand why Americans are willing to pay thousands of dollars for it. But in the UK, you can get Pokemon Box by itself for £95. In the case of Pokemon Colosseum, you can get that and Pokemon Box together in CEX for £70. It used to be around £55. It's gone up by about £15. Not only though has it gone up, you can't get it in many stores. There aren't that many that actually carry them and have them. My local one had nearly all of these that I'm talking about, and now they don't, and they haven't had them for a while. The big one, and the one that I kick myself most about though, is Pokemon Channel. That, again, I don't even think it's a game. But again, I had it in my hands. It was £25 at the very beginning of lockdown, and I didn't buy it. I say very beginning of the sort of the stores reopened, just before we had that second wave and everything really shut down for a long time. But I had Pokemon Channel in my hands, I was looking at it. The reason I didn't buy it, it didn't have a manual. When it comes to the older stuff, that like unlike PS4 when most things don't have manuals anyway, the GameCube stuff and everything obviously has manuals. And if it doesn't have one, I begrudge buying it. Now it's £52. When I wanted it, it was about 25, and I didn't buy it just because it didn't have the manual, and I thought it would be difficult to flip. Obviously, I wasn't going to keep it, but now looking at it, I probably would. So I'm very disappointed with those. The other thing is Simpsons Hit and Run on the GameCube. Now, Simpsons Hit and Run on the PlayStation, I'm not going to talk about original Xbox because I don't ever plan on collecting those, but the PlayStation 2 version of Simpsons Hit and Run at one point was £8. It's now 20. I actually had one at one point again before I started collecting. I picked one up in a boot sale for about £4, I think. I ended up selling it for about 15. Really wish I'd kept it, although it was the platinum version, and I don't really plan on collecting platinum games, but it is what it is. Moving on though, the GameCube version of that game, I've seen it many a time, and in CEX in particular for about 2022, and I thought, why would anyone buy that when you can get the PlayStation 2 version for £8-10? Now it's 38, and I really wish I'd bought it when it was about 15-20. I've seen it in a couple of car boots as well, back in lockdown sort of era, where it was a lot less. Again, it was about £15 you could pick it up in a car boot sale. So that is definitely a few things that have passed me by that I really wish I'd picked up. But this next one, I have mixed feelings about. So this next one is the reason why Outrun is playing in the background. So on screen right now is a Master System bundle of Dreams. Now, there are some big hitters missing, but there are some really nice big games in there. I bought this, and I had this all in my hands. It cost me £110, which, if you're not aware, £110 for this is outrageous. The console alone being boxed, it had its original control pads, all the manuals, the original packaging, it was in really good condition. That alone is worth about 100, or was, I don't know what it is now, I didn't look, but it was worth around 130 to 140 pounds just for the boxed console. The games, some of them, not really worth an awful lot. I'm looking at it now. I'm trying to think of the ones that just weren't worth an awful lot at all. Ms. Pac-Man, worth about £8 to £10, I think, at the time. Parlour Games wasn't worth an awful lot. There was a Heavyweight Champ, wasn't worth a crazy amount. Golf Mania was one of the cheapest games going. Populous isn't really worth more than, say, £8. Yeah, there's a lot of, not trash, but just cheap games in there. But then you have Battle Outrun, which was worth a fair bit. Hang On, which is worth a little bit, not an awful lot, I don't think. Star Wars is a £45, £50 game, or at least it was. There's a game that we've actually picked up on the Mega Drive since, and that is... where is it? Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. That was... it's about £45 on the Mega Drive. I'm not quite sure how much it was on the Master System. But the sad thing about this, I picked it up from a guy who used to sell me a lot of stuff. He had a video game stall in an indoor market in my local town. And even though he had that stall, and I say stall, it was like a shop almost. It was very, very big. And he had a lot of amazing stuff. And I've picked up a lot of really good stuff off him in the past. He didn't really know an awful lot about games, which is really surprising considering he bought and sold them for a living, and he did it for a good few years. I picked this up off him for 110. We negotiated a little bit, and he let me have it all for 110. I sold the entire lot for 105. I'm joking, of course I am. I made a lot of money off this. I sold the Master System 2 console itself for about 145, I think it was. That was a Facebook Marketplace pickup. I mean, looking back, do I regret not keeping some of this? Kind of, to be fair. Let me know, if you had this and you'd bought it for 110, would you have kept some of it? Because, I mean, I regret not keeping the console more than anything. I think, you know, games are a lot more readily available in cases, especially like this, because they're like hard plastic cases. But when it comes to the console, If you go and buy a Master System 2 console now, most of them are unboxed. Most of them are trashed. But when it comes to this, it was really nice. Like, the box was in insanely good condition. I do really, really regret not keeping that console. I made a lot of money off this bundle, but I do regret not keeping an awful lot of it. I really wish I'd been recording during that period. It was about a 6-month period, and it was a few months or weeks even before I started recording for YouTube and doing that series. I really wish I'd been recording for it though, because some of the deals I picked up, I had a massive big box PC bundle off him. Again, I paid around £70 for it. One of the games alone sold for 70. Can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it was crazy. The PlayStation 1 stuff I had off him though, by far the best, and I don't think I have any images of it, unfortunately. I picked up a huge PlayStation 1 bundle off him. Huge. And it had a couple of original Resident Evil games, Resident Evil 2, I had Nemesis, the director's cut of the first one. All of those sold for a collective of over £100. There was Silent Hill, the original, that sold for 90, I think it was. It was in all these games are in such good condition. Star Ocean was the biggest one though. That sold for £135. It was so good. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage. I don't think I have any images of it, so you have to take my word for it. But yeah, I think I got all that for about 70, £80 for the whole thing. And some of these games were selling for that by themselves. Such a shame that I wasn't recording them. But had I been recording then, I probably wouldn't have sold them. And I wouldn't have made a lot of money. I probably would have had them on the shelf behind me, but that would have been, I think, even more impressive, because I think those games are probably just going to keep going up and up and up, although lockdown did spike prices, and they have come down a little bit since then, because I'm pretty sure you can pick up Silent Hill for a lot less than 90 these days. But during lockdown, yeah, actually did really, really well. That guy, by the way, John, if you're watching, you literally saved my life during lockdown, because I honestly don't think I would have been able to afford food. But that's going to do it for today's video. I know it was not an awful lot of footage, and I do apologise about that, but if you have found any of it enjoyable, do me a favour and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.